Hi, I'm Peter, and this is Peter on Health Channel. This video, I'm going to go a little slower on the importance of 1987 in terms of rampage killings in the United States. In 1987, I was 24. Um, in the 1980s, that decade was the peak of the killer known as US serial killers. These were guys who were like rapists, only three standard deviations from a rapist. Ted Bundy, the archetype. They couldn't even have an erection without killing their victim woman. And that was like a horrific crime. And so if you had a young daughter back then in the 80s, you were worried about a serial killer picking her up. I mean, because Bundy was like, oh, an upstanding young man, Republican Party guy, like that's the image he gave off. So it was serial killers in the 80s that peaked. But what's interesting is in the 90s that became less common, in the 2000s even less, and today it's rare. Serial killing of the Ted Bundy type is extremely rare, hardly ever happens. But what happened is in 1987, this idea of a crazy killer, this wasn't sexually motivated anymore. This is just somebody who wants to kill as many random people as he can. Again, serial killers were male, rampage killers are male. And yeah, it kind of starts in 87. And so what I urge you to do is get on these Wikipedia pages. What I did was sort by date. You could see, and so I said, Robert Cremo. There he is on he's the latest one, and just scroll back till you pass 1987, right there, 03 and 87. Okay, so that was like about 50 rows, and then go back before 87. And let's see how far the whole list goes. And we're back to 1863. We went back 120 years. So it took 120 years to have 50 rampage killings, according to this list here in the United States. So from 1863, the middle of the Civil War, until 1987, there were like 50 rampage killers. It was something known, the guy who was on the University of Texas Tower and, blah, blah, blah. And, these guys were known, but they were rare. This wasn't something you worried about sending your kid out into the July 4th festival. But starting in 1987, something happened in America. And it's the same thing with the school shootings. Right, this is the whole world. So Uvalde is the latest one. That's May 24th, and so these are the school shootings. So you got 22, and going back, we're looking for 87. Oh, there's 87. So a bunch of rows. Now let's go back from 87, and pretty quickly we're out of the United States. Sorry, yeah, there's the United States, 1927 to 66, four. There was four going back to 1927, and then starting in 87, holy shit, Columbine, Virginia Tech, blah, blah, blah. And then same thing for workplace. We have the phrase going postal, which didn't exist until 1987. And these were US postal workers who are going back to the workplace to shoot it up. So I just want you to, like go to these Wikipedia lists. It's public information, and see that something happened. Serial killers went away, and they were replaced by rampage killers. And so now, when we're sending our kid to high school, we're not worried about her bumping into a serial killer. We're worried about her bumping into a rampage killer.